Hello and welcome back to the channel. Continuing today with our mini series here on the channel where we're going to be covering each of the main 6 dynasties within the Codex. We're going to be going through all the rules options and talking about the units that work best for the dynasty, and then talk some tactics as well. Today's random shout out goes to Drutavian Eternity Reaper for the comment he made on the 1000 point list we did recently. As for today, this dynasty choice was voted on by our patrons, which was the Novokh Dynasty. Now from the poll we showed in the last video in the series, Novokh Dynasty won that poll with 47% for being what everybody considers the strongest Necron dynasty. So for the faction abilities, they've got Awakened by Murder. So this is a +1 to the charge rolls for all units within the code. Not only that, each time a model with this code that makes a melee attack, charge, was charged or heroically intervened, then the AP of the weapon is going to be going up by 1. Then finally, when the protocol of Hungry Void becomes active for the army, you can use both directives for that given turn. So the protocol of Hungry Void, Directive 1, each time a model in the unit makes a melee attack, an unmodified wound roll of a 6 will improve the AP by 1. And Directive 2, each time a model in the unit makes a melee attack, if the unit made a charge move, was charged or performed a heroic intervention, you're going to add 1 to the strength. So this dynasty allows for both directives when this protocol comes into play. Now Directive 1 works extremely well on a unit that has a lot of attacks, so flayed ones are a good option here, as they've only got -1 AP claws, whereas a unit such as Ophidian Destroyers, although they've got a lot of attacks, they're already at -3 AP and -4 AP, so the added AP isn't quite needed. Directive 2 requires a charge move, so ideally turn 2 or maybe turn 3 from a deep strike, or with a Veil of Darkness on turn 1 if you're planning for it. Now being Novokh gives you a +1 to your charge too, so only an 8-inch charge is needed if you're deep striking in, and with the Chronomancer's reroll, this will massively assist with that charge. And then once you're in, you're going to get a +1 to your strength. As for the Warlord trait, the Novokh Dynasty has Blood-Fueled Fury. Each time the Warlord makes a melee attack, an unmodified wound roll of a 6 will inflict 1 mortal wound on the target in addition to normal damage. This one's okay. I mean, in general, Necron Warlord traits do suck. Most of the non-named Overlords have around 4 attacks. So once you get to the wound roll, you've probably got about a 50-50 chance of actually scoring a single 6. You can of course get lucky with it and spike the dice. Now Scorpion Destroyers would probably prefer this as they reroll 1s to hit and then reroll 1s to wound as well, so there's more chances of 6s. Now the relic for the dynasty is Blood Scythe, so this replaces your Void Scythe or War Scythe and it gives you the following. So it's strength +2, -4 AP and 2 damage, but you get 2 additional attacks with the weapon. So this one I do quite like, and in fact it works quite well with the Warlord trait that we just mentioned, because Overlords now are going to have 6 attacks base. Now never pay for the Void Scythe and trade it in, because that's 15 points, whereas a normal War Scythe is only 5. I'm not quite sure why a Void Scythe is in this Relics datasheet. So the stratagem for the faction is Blood Rights. So use this stratagem in the fight phase when a Novokh unit in the army is selected to fight. Until the end of the phase, you add 1 to the attacks characteristics of all models in the unit. So this one's pretty strong for pretty much any melee based unit. You can also pair this off with another stratagem in the Necron stratagems page, which is Disruption Fields for 1 CP, again using the fight phase. This one is for Necron core units. When they're selected to fight, you add 1 to their strength characteristics of the models. So now you're looking at strength 8 War Scythes on your Lich Guard, giving them all 4 attacks per model instead of 3. Admire will be done, and these things are cleaning up. So that's all the add-ons for the dynasty. As for units, there's a fair amount that are melee based, especially this edition. So some of the main units in the code are Lich Guard, as we've just mentioned. They've got 2 weapon loadouts, both will hugely benefit from the code. Even the Hyperphase swords are now -4 AP on the charge, leaving power armor without a save. And with the Disruption Field stratagem, they're going up to strength 7, so they almost effectively turn them into War Scythes, except they're damage 1 not damage 2, but then you get the shield as a trade-off of course. Flayed ones, although aren't the biggest of meta units in the Codex, they get really boosted here as the claws go from -1 AP to -2 AP on the charge. They've got dimensional translocation, so deep striking in and only needing an 8-inch charge. Now it's a shame the Chronomancer's Chronometron ability happens in the command phase, as a 20 strong flayed 1 unit could be really cool with the invuln save and the reroll to their charge roll, and the Veil of Darkness relic doesn't work with them because they're not core. They do however have the fight against stratagem, so with a full squad of 60 attacks doing another 60 attacks on top of that at -2 AP is pretty gross. Scorpion Destroyers kinda don't need it because their AP is also pretty strong, -3 and -4 AP, but the +1 to their charge roll of course is welcomed because they're likely going to be on foot and need any boost they can, so make use of that Whirling Onslaught ability, especially on entry, as it's going to be massive. Canoptic Spiders, one of my personal favourite units in the Codex. They've got 5 attacks a Spider at -3 AP, so again removes the power armor save because it's going to go up to -4 AP. They are quite slow, so they'll happily take that 1 inch extra to the charge. Scarab Swarms have no AP, so adding that -1 AP is a difference between killing an extra Marine model or not, or an extra couple of Guardians per turn. Ophidian destroyers, similar to the Scorpic destroyers, have high AP weapons, but these guys can tunnel in with their tunneling ability, so on the charge they'd usually need a 9-inch charge, but making it an 8-inch charge definitely helps. Then finally you got the Canoptic Wraiths with -2 AP claws, so it's -3 AP now, which is much more reliable against anything with a 4+ save or better. The Whip Coils even go up to a -2 AP, but Hordes generally have a 6+ armor save, so it probably won't be needed. The extra charge move is however quite nice. Of course, the Tryout Stalker, the Praetorians and the Catan Shards can't benefit from Dynasty buffs, so they're not going to really get a mention here unfortunately. That doesn't mean to say you can't take them in the Novokh Dynasty, you can still field them, they're just not going to benefit. So that's all your main melee units. Of course there's characters too with their own weapons who will also benefit, so you've got your Scorpic Lords or Locust Lords, Command Barges, Overlords. Those ones in particular are the more fighty characters in the Codex. One last mention which we've mentioned in a previous video, but I think it's worth the mention again because we're discussing the Novokh Dynasty, which is a little combo you can use with warriors. So get yourself 20 warriors and also get Anrat the Traveller. Now Anrat the Traveller not only has the My Will Be Done ability on your warriors that allow them to hit on 2s, but he also grants core units within 6 inches an extra attack per model. So now your warriors are going to have 2 attacks each. Get those 2 stratagems that we spoke about earlier, which is Blood Rites and Disruption Fields, to not only give them 3 attacks each, but also they're going to be at strength 5. The AP is also now going to be -1 AP due to the Dynasty ability. If you're clever enough, you can pair this with the command protocols and gain both directives, which makes them strength 6 and -2 AP with 6s to wounds. So let's recap that really quickly. 20 shooty warriors will have 60 attacks that hit on 2s, and they can be strength 6 -2 AP with any 6s to wound. Otherwise it will be just -1 AP. But you're looking there at about 10 dead Space Marines or 34 dead Orc Boys, and who said warriors can't punch? So what are the best units to take in this dynasty? I'm going to go through my top 3 Novokh Dynasty units. Let me know if your 3 are any different to mine. Now they're going to be in no particular order here. So first they've got the Lich Guard, a top melee unit in the Codex. They will need the extra inch movement for their charge. And the 2 stratagems there will allow them to carry strength 8 war scythes with 4 attacks each. Normally when you're strength 8 there's some sort of penalty like a -1 to hit penalty, but of course this is a stratagem so there's not going to be a penalty. The second in the list is the Flayed ones, tons of attacks especially with deep strike and really can make use of that 1-inch extra charge. They've got the ability to fight twice. They're -2 AP with the claws and with flesh hunger, so 6s to hit will score more hits. Then they can use Blood Rites because it's not tied to core units only, so the Flayed ones can make use of Blood Rites, getting an extra attack each per model. The third I'd say in the list was the Wraiths. Taking claws from -2 AP to -3 AP I think is a big deal. They're pretty quick, they're pretty tanky, and they have 4 attacks each now, 5 with the stratagem. A noteworthy mention here is for the Chronomancer. Although he doesn't fight very well, he can be a huge buffing character for any melee unit, even the ones with an in-1 save, because he still gives them the reroll to their charge rolls. But of course, he also grants them that 5+ in-1 save with his Chronometron ability. So that's my 3 units and a bonus one there at the end. Moving away from the units, let's talk tactics. So how do you go about building a Novokh Dynasty? The obvious answer is to get some melee units in, which isn't hard in 9th edition because Necrons have slowly turned into a more of a melee based army. I think the more melee based factions that come out this edition will mean the further down the ladder Necrons will fall in competitive gaming. We don't really have the best long range offense anymore. Remember the days where we had destroyers that were stupidly good? Not anymore. So you select what melee units you want, but the absolute key here is to make sure you work out how they're going to be getting into combat. It's no good throwing down 10 Lich Guards with war scythes on the table and spending 3 turns running up the board trying to get into engagement range of something. They're never going to see a return of their 280 points. So you need to think smart and also think fast. What's the fastest method of getting your guys in? So we've got many tools at our disposal. Firstly, you've got the deep strike abilities such as dimensional translocation or the tunneling horrors. We've got our trusted old Veil of Darkness relic, and then thirdly we've also got the Night Scythe. That's your 3 main ways of getting in at speed. Everything else revolves around moving and advancing perhaps up the board. So let's discuss the 3 methods of entry. Method 1, Deep Strike. So Flayed ones and Ophidian destroyers have this built in, so if you select either of those 2 units, be sure to put them in reserves. It's not the same with strategic reserves as they've got the ability inbuilt, so there's no CP spendage. You enter turn 2 onwards and you can charge at only 8-inch range because of the Dynasty code. Now the odds are against you as the average roll is a 7, however you do have command rerolls which now turns the odds in your favour. In fact, something I saw in a recent game, someone was using a 12-sided dice for their charge rolls, which I thought was quite funny. I don't think they realised that rolling a 1 is not possible with 2 dice, yet it is possible with a D12, so they've cut their own average roll down to a 6.5. Anyway, method 2, which is the Veil of Darkness, obviously needs a character to hold the relic. Now you've got a few options here. You've got the Chronomancer being one of them. which can add the reroll to their charge roll and a 5+ invuln save as mentioned. You can also have an Overlord model for the My Will Be Done to hit on 2s with the core units, although you can still put this buff on the core unit in the command phase before using a different character to whisk them away in the movement phase, so you're getting the best of both worlds, so you can again pair it off with a Chronomancer. So the Veil of Darkness is only for core units, so we're pretty much talking about Lich Guard here. Now there is nothing wrong with having punchy warriors, as they also shoot quite amazingly well at close range anyway, so it is a very valid option. Other characters you could use this with are the Scorpic Lords, a Locust Lords, a Command Barge, or even a Technomancer to be healing up your guys. The best thing about this relic though is that it can be used in turn 1. So the third method is the Night Scythe. It's restricted to core units or infantry characters. Now there is a few issues with this method, because either your guys are going to be inside the flyer or they're going to be off the table in strategic reserves if you're using that stratagem, which we'll go over in a bit. So this means that they're not going to be gaining any buffs in the command phase, so there's going to be no Chronometer ability from the Chronomancer, there's going to be no My Will Be Done, because they're only going to see the game in the movement phase when they enter the board or out of the flyer. So even though they're not going to have to suffer a long range charge of an 8-inch, they instead will suffer from not having any of the buffs, and if you're talking about Lich Guards with War Scythes, then it's a danger. It's a much better method if you're taking Lich Guard with the swords and shields, as they've already got a 4+ invuln save. So this method cannot be used in turn 1 with the stratagem. Not only does it cost you strategic reserve points, but it's also going to cost you 1 CP just to use the stratagem. This ultimately costs 2 or even 3 CP depending on the power level of the unit of Lich Guard, as any more than 6 in the unit is going to cost you a power level of 14. So the stratagem allows you to fly your flyer in on turn 2 and teleport the Lich Guard out of strategic reserves into the flyer, then out of the flyer again, so you're kind of avoiding any sort of long range 8-inch charge, or normally a 9-inch charge, but as mentioned it's going to cost you command points. So even though you avoid any type of difficult charge roll, you're probably better off just staying inside the flyer, save on the CP. The only time this is going to be working in your advantage is if the flyer goes bang with all your guys inside. So that's the 3 more quicker ways of entry. Sometimes missions have a much smaller no man's land, meaning you can get a first turn charge off with even foot sluggers like Wraiths or Scorpic Destroyers, but then you're relying on the right game type. So with those units in particular, use cover, use obscuring terrain where possible. Now you can put some extra guns on the Wraiths, but if you want to go with the Novokh Dynasty, don't bother, just advance them, get them up the board. Guys, if you've got any tactics or combos to add to this video, put them in the comments. The best comment is going to be getting pinned to the top of the comment section. We're trying to help the Necron community here on the channel, whether it's learning new tricks or teaching new tricks, and we're going to be running this video for all 6 of the dynasties along with the custom dynasty at the end. So if you've liked the video, smash the thumbs up guys, and sub if you are new around here. Get involved in the comments. Thank you all for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.